Hey everyone, it's Renee here from Sweet Pea Labs, here to give you a little preview of the new product, My Design Journal. I want to talk to you a little bit about this journal. This is meant to be a design journal that can be used with STEM or STEAM projects, but you can also use this outside of the STEM world, right? So you can use this for connecting to literature and literacy and in that sort of block theme as well. And you'll see how here in a minute. This design journal was modeled after Mitch Resnick's creative learning spiral from Lifelong Kindergarten, which is a book that I love that Mitch Resnick from MIT wrote. And he talks about how kids learn really well through play. And so this design journal sort of mimics what he's talking about there. It's a 6-page journal. It's very similar to a classic engineering design process, but with a little bit of a twist. So we'll start here with an imagine piece. You know, you're talking about what, who, when, how, where, why. So this is the first natural step of the process, and students can imagine with these words. So you could connect this, and I'm going to do sort of connections to something outside of STEM. You could connect this to a fairy tale, let's say, where students imagine a castle or a village or a unique story inspired from something that you've read to them. And so they're going to be thinking and imagining about sort of creating their own. And here is where they draw or write about what they are imagining. Step 2 is create. This is the part where students would turn their ideas into action. So they take what they were imagining and they turn it into something. They're going to create or build or make whatever it is that they're imagining. It could be, in this case, a castle that could be an extension of a story that you read, or a village that maybe the story took place in. Or they could create something like an additional story that goes on after you've read your first story to them. So sort of an extension story. The next step is play. Students here, this is where they test it out, they see what happens, and they just sort of play with whatever they've created. So if they've made a castle, you know, they're playing with their castle. Let's say they're using a bunch of Legos, or they're using a bunch of blocks, or they're using Play-Doh. This is really just the tinkering, experimenting, playing part. And this is also really fun to do in groups too, because kids, their imaginations sort of run wild when they're playing together. So they might build a castle as tall as possible. They might create different endings to their story. They might create more than one village, let's say. The next part of this step is share. So you're going to share with a friend what you've done, what you've imagined, what you've created, and what you're playing with. And so when students share their creations with friends, that sort of spawns different ideas for them. Plus, sharing is just super fun, right? Like, why build something super cool if you can't share it? Sharing here, where they can write down what they're sharing, or they can also write down something that was shared with them. So if they created a castle, they could write down or draw the village that somebody else shared with them that might go along with their castle. And then this is a reflection portion where they might say, how can I make it better? So if they built a really tall castle and it kept falling over, maybe they think about, wait a minute, why is it falling over? Should I build a bigger base, right? If they're writing a story and maybe they wanted it to be really funny, but they didn't make it funny originally. So they might make their story really funny this time, or add in some new characters, right? So they're doing this reflection piece on how to make it better. And that is the basics of that notebook. They can go all the way back and redo the whole process with starting out with the imagine, just like you would in an engineering design process. But again, just a little bit different than the classic engineering design process, getting kids to think about things in a different way and thinking of things through play. I want to show you, these are just the slides that are also included when you purchase the little design journal. Included in the slides is this getting started page, and it talks about exactly what I went over with you just now, right? Each step of this process is listed out here in the notebook. And so let me show you the notebook here. It looks like this. Let me see if I am... Here it is. And you can flip it over, and that's where your name goes. I made this really easy to print out. You can just print it as a PDF. You print it front to back. And when you print it out front to back, it will come out in a stack of 3 pages. When you pick up those 3 pages, all you have to do is fold those pages in half, and you've got your notebook. And then you can staple that together if you want to, or not. Really, it doesn't really matter. That's completely up to you. But I just wanted to show you how easy it is to assemble, because no one has time to sort through pages and number pages and put things together. So literally print it out, pick up the stack of 3 papers, fold it in half, and you're good to go. So I've got an engineering notebook in there that's very similar to this, with different steps for the engineering process in my store. I've got things for older students. This is probably for like K to 2. Older students all through middle school, digital notebooks for scientific method and the engineering design process, as well as a free sort of like graphic organizer or graphic with the engineering process on there too. So you can check all that out in my Teachers Pay Teachers store as well. Thanks for tuning in. Talk to you later. Bye.